10-minute song. You know, like just like I could just, you know, I'll be back in like 10 minutes. It's a really good one though. I like this one. This song supposedly, and I don't know if it's true, it could be one of those internet things, but they say this song is modeled after the Fibonacci sequence, if you're familiar with that. I don't even know what that means, but I like it and I say it. Yeah, it's a good one. What is up, everybody, and welcome to a Warhammer Wednesday, and also welcome to the new fucking light. It's real bright. I don't know. Let me know how it looks. I'm gonna get a diffuser for this one, and I will have another one of these Johns kind of over there. It's a lot light. It's a lot bright. It's very bright. It's very bright, and it honestly kind of distracts me. It's like I'm kind of like trying now. I can't see because it's like I see a green dot. So just so you know where we're at with all of this, I cannot read chat very well. Don't look at it. Fuck! I fucked it up. Anyways, like moth to a flame, indeed. How you guys doing out there, man? Welcome to a Warhammer Wednesday, the first of many. Despite whether I did it again, I looked at the fucking light. Despite whether you want it to happen or not. Welcome to a Warhammer Wednesday. And look, we might eventually move these streams over to the Warhammer channel. I've got a couple of different Warhammer channels, and I'm working on content for them to sort of fill them out. It does take a certain amount of content or hours watched or some bullshit to be able to stream on one of those channels. So once we hit that metric, maybe we can, move these streams over there. But either way, obviously, I'm really into Warhammer. I've been slowly trying to get chat into Warhammer. And I think some of you might even be surprised as for how many of the chat and the community has been willing to get into Warhammer. Can we start there? Can we be real? Can we just be real for a second? Can we just be for reals and just admit, maybe, that I've been an incredible converter to followers of the God Emperor. I'm actually kind of shocked, to be fair. I didn't expect people to even get into it like that. And yet a lot of people are. I just saw today that Honeycomb, a member of the community, went out to a Warhammer store and was completely convinced of just how dope Warhammer is after going to the store. And look, I tell you guys this all the time, but the Warhammer stores, especially like, look, I know it's gonna probably continuously come around to me kind of shitting on Disney and being mad about Disney and how they handle the IP that they control, right? But the honest to God truth is, I don't feel like that company really gives a fuck about me, and they don't seem to, you know, they give some lip service to it or whatever, but like I just don't generally feel like they really care about like me as a fan. And basically ever since I got into Warhammer, not only has the Warhammer community been fucking awesome, but the Warhammer people have been awesome. I've never had a bad experience in a Warhammer store, and the people are awesome. They're very helpful. They're very well trained. They're attentive. Like, they fucking care, dude. They fucking care, you know? And yes, putting these Warhammer stores out there is a bit of like a marketing thing, and they sort of treat it that way, and that's probably why the customer service is so good, because they really want to, you know, get you in there. But fuck it, dude. I mean, it's commercial art. You're making a product, and you want to satisfy your fan base. And I'm telling you, like, it's not to, I don't know. I don't want to slob on the knob, but I'm having a really good time with the Warhammer hobby, and I just want to share that experience with those of you that are Warhammer curious or that are already in. So that's all, you know what I mean? And we'll still do plenty of Den of Nerds shit. I am gonna have to actually in a second here adjust and get that other AC in here, because this fucking light is hot, motherfucker. This is crazy. This shit is crazy. I've never experienced a light like this. I feel like my skin's flying off. What the hell? And I'm all sweaty because I went to the gym, and now it's, you probably see how sweaty I am, like super hardcore because of the light. I fucked it all up. but I am gonna turn it off. I should turn it off, or at least turn it down or something. But in a second here, I'll bring the AC in and we'll be cool. So what are we going to do tonight on stream? Well, I definitely want to get into some questions and maybe try to help you guys out if some of you guys are interested in Warhammer. But I thought we would start by watching this video. And this is a guy, Scotty Blades. I saw this video pop up. And I watched a little bit of this video, and I thought it was really cool. I liked the energy he was bringing to this. And it's about the potential of, like, the Emperor coming back or something like that. Like, there's some pretty crazy shit happening in Warhammer right now. It's connected to the big trailer for 11th edition. A lot of speculation, a lot of little teases in the lore leading up to it, and then there's this kind of background idea that maybe this is all connected to the Cavill show, and as the Cavill show launches, there's this other big initiative coming. So I want to start with this video, and we'll react to this. Then maybe we'll just chat a little bit, but there's some videos also I want to watch about 11th edition specifically, and I want to talk about, like, my thoughts going into 11th, because it's pretty crazy. Like, I don't know where a lot of other Warhammer fans are at with this, but, like, I am still really trying to make sense of what this is. It's a lot. It's at the same time maybe not the changes we thought we were going to get, but it's a lot of changes. And then without the points and the actual new rules for each particular model, it's also, like, really hard to, like, oh, okay, well, this rule now will probably mean this unit no longer does this or does it in a different way. So it's a really interesting time for the hobby, because everybody's really excited about the new edition, but everybody's like, what the fuck is this? Like, what do I even do here? What would you say you do here in Cursor Squad? You know what I mean? So give me 1 second. Let me just adjust this AC, and then we'll get started on this beautiful Warhammer journey together. The slide is bright. All right. So I'll put the link to this video in the chat. You guys should go support this dude's channel, especially if you like the video that we're about to watch of his. Oh my goodness. Is the Emperor of Mankind coming back in Warhammers?
It's taken me about 24 hours to finally compose myself, to bring myself to a state where I can create thought and words, because something is going on with the Emperor of Mankind in Warhammer 40k. Is he coming back? Like, is he regenerating because he's a perpetual into his normal human form and getting up from the throne and marching around? Is his body deteriorating and he's finally going to ascend to godhood, like official godhood? And then he's going to be the Dark King and maybe bring a whole lot of devastation to the setting? Or is nothing going to happen and he's going to continue sitting there like a vegetable for the foreseeable future? This trailer shows every cycle of where he has been during the course of the trailer, and then it leaves it up to you to decide. So we have went through the trailer. We've broken a lot of this stuff down. We looked at the lore implications, at the hints, at some of the other stuff that's been mentioned in the past, to try to glean something from this, because at the time of this video, it's been 24 hours since the trailer was dropped by I'm gonna say Games Hammer. That's how excited I am by Warhammer.
Yes.
And in 24 hours, it's got 1.5 million views. So this thing has got the internet on fire. It's got Warhammer fans on fire. It's got fans of games and lore on fire.
Yeah, and so, like, part of why that's crazy is that, because that's like, you know, we talk about like Marvel numbers or like superhero genre numbers. That's not huge, but Warhammer is like bad at letting the world know about its shit. It basically just drops its shit, and I think this trailer was like on a fucking Sunday or something, like randomly. And that's one thing I think they do need to get better at as they sort of grow into this more relevant space in pop culture. There's almost a charm to how ill-equipped they are for all of this. Their live streams are like their live streams are bad, bro. And it's funny because they're a really big deal. Like the 11th edition launch was like truly awful in my opinion. But they're working on it. There's the videos they've been releasing are actually pretty clean. The trailer itself is obviously very clean. But yeah, they're just not like on it like that as far as like understanding the internet, etc. So for that trailer to pop off at 1.5 million views in 12 hours or whatever is pretty impressive for a Warhammer trailer. My dog's also
it's one of the best trailers I've ever seen from them.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's saying a lot. Like, these dudes know cinematics and they know storytelling. This is incredible. So we're going to break it down. The trailer is called No Peace Amongst the Stars, and it's the most ambitious thing that I've ever seen Games Workshop drop. It's an incredible trailer. And let me tell you what they showed us the most. We got a glimpse of a lot of things, but the Emperor appears multiple times throughout this. And here's what's interesting about how they showed him. They showed him first as he appears in the Great Crusade in all of his glory. He's tall and he's radiant, and the Golden Warrior, he united all of humanity. His eyes, they show his eyes a lot. They're clear. They're alive. Then they show the Golden Throne, and they show him sitting on it, the rotten corpse, the 10,000 years of decay, the machine keeping him alive and breathing, his eyes clouded as if he's drifting off, which he is. His consciousness is very active in the set, and he's influencing things.
Well, he's not dead.
The materium.
Chris says, so the Emperor's been dead for a long arse time. He's not dead. He's like in between life and death. And so part of this, he's like Wolverine. He has a regenerative ability. He's actually known as a perpetual. The homie said that earlier, and you probably just don't know what that means if you're not into Warhammer. But he is a perpetual, meaning he's like Wolverine. And in fact, I think he's like the strongest perpetual ever. And yeah, there's a lot of crazy shit about the Emperor. But basically what happens is at one point, he has a fight with his son Horus, who is juiced up on dark magic via all these chaos gods. And so Horus is like a serious threat at that point. And in fact, the Emperor, it's without getting too convoluted, basically what happens is the Emperor kills Horus, but it costs him like dearly. He's wounded in the battle, like he's barely alive. So they take him back to the throne. They throw him on the golden throne because it's like a life support device. And he sits on that thing, dying and regenerating, and he's in like a constant state of death and regeneration because he's using his powers to keep the throne going. The throne is also keeping him alive, but he's like a corpse, but he's not. It's like, yeah, it is what it is.
Through his consciousness. Then they show the throne again, and the throne empty. Then they show him again, and he is fully alive.
Holy shit.
And then, finally, the last piece of evidence that I saw that made me think some things is the light of the throne with the storms of chaos closing in around it. So you kind of see that beacon, that aura, that energy I was telling you about that the Golden Throne produces, and the chaos warp and the storms are closing in around it, and the light begins to flicker.
Yes, Satosuke, definitely.
Warhammer is telling a story through these images, and they're doing this deliberately. They're showing you the full cycle. They're showing you birth, decay, death, rebirth. The question that I'm asking is which part of the cycle are we going to be in right now as we move into 11th edition? Has something changed? So is the Emperor coming back? Let's look at what the lore actually tells us is possible.
Let's look at the lore.
Look at the lore. I would like to open up and dissect and leave open for discussion in the comments. The first theory is that he never really left us. And this is the strongest theory because this is the one that people forget a lot. The Emperor is not unconscious on the throne. Yeah, he's in a vegetable state, but
he doesn't speak for a long time, but then he does speak.
Psyker in the set. Nobody else does magic better than this guy.
Yeah, and the thing, okay, so a couple of things I'll just add here real quick, and he might add this too. But so like there's a long period where he doesn't speak, but then after I believe after the fall of Cadia, there's like even more openings of storms, of chaos storms around the galaxy, and the rift like gets crazier or something. And then that gives the Emperor even more power. It like actually fuels him. So in some ways, what Abaddon is doing is actually making the Emperor more powerful, because they're bringing in more warp shenanigans, and that's fueling the Emperor.
So he has technically never been unconscious. Now he is in constant agony. Every micro.
And in the newest book about the Scouring, he's definitely alive when they put him, and conscious when they put him on the throne. And he screams no. It's kind of fucked up.
Second of every single day
Warhammer Heresy,
for the
thanks for
last
gifted.
10,000 years, he has been fighting. He has been holding the webway shut against demonic incursions. So the demons that exist in the warp, this other dimension that we pull from for our own psychic and magic might.
Yeah.
These demons are always looking for an opportunity, an open door, a unprotected mind to manifest into this existence. So the Emperor is working to keep that shut so that it doesn't invade and come onto Terra itself and on humankind. And while he's doing this, keeping this barrier up and these doors shut, he's also powering and maintaining the Golden Throne, which is also called the Astronomicon, that beacon I told you about. And he's also fighting chaos on a psychic level that we can't even comprehend.
Yeah, he's doing a lot.
Keeping tabs on everything that the Chaos Gods are doing in the setting, and he's
bringing
also
saints back to
taking
life, and
his essence and his power,
teleporting
and depositing it into different people in the Imperium, because they're making moves to keep mankind at the top of the food chain. Some examples of this: he has rescued Gilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines, from death twice. He has led Lionel Johnson, the most recently returned Loyalist Primarch, who everybody thought was dead for give or take 10,000 years, but he was just taking a long nap in the bottom of his fortress monastery. He has led Lionel Johnson to find the Emperor's shield, a weapon he can use to fight off chaos. The Emperor's weapons are some of the only devices in the entire set that can kill a demon for good, like not just send it back where it came from, actually wipe it from existence. And the Emperor appears in visions to his most faithful servants a lot. He is more active and involved than at any point in the entire history of the setting. The man on the throne is not sleeping. He's been working. You just can't tell because he doesn't talk to you or move much while he's doing it. Theory 2 is the perpetual problem. He is immortal. He has been around for forever, basically, for as long as humans have been around. Here's the thing about perpetuals is that if they die, they regenerate from everything. They regenerate from death, destruction, complete physical obliteration, doesn't matter. They come back. Vulcan, who is one of his sons, the Primarch of the Salamanders, is one of the Primarchs who was a perpetual.
He still is.
He came back from things that should have been completely impossible. His body has reformed over and over and over. He has a long track record of being wiped out down to an atom where there shouldn't be anything left and then coming back. And I say was because right now Vulcan is gone. He's out there somewhere.
Yeah, he's out there.
Can't die. But right now he's gone in the set and nobody knows where he's at. And the Emperor is one of these, a perpetual. He's the greatest one that has ever existed, which means that his current state on the Golden Throne, it might not be keeping him alive. It might be keeping him from regenerating. Which, if that's the case, think about it. If they took him off the throne, if they let him die, then he might come back better than he was before.
Yeah, this is a big theory, dude. Yeah, so this is really fun. Some of this is like a little maybe deep and sweaty for just like, hey, our first Warhammer Wednesday stream. But I will tell you this. There's some really cool lore and some ideas about the Emperor dying, and even how some seemingly evil or villainous characters will play a role in that. So like, for instance, there's this one character in the Dark Angels that's named Cypher, and he has the Lion's sword. So he has a Primarch sword, and he's super in touch with the warp, and he gets like these weird visions. And he goes to the Imperial Palace, and it's seemingly like he's supposed to go there to kill the Emperor. And what's really weird is in the Cypher book, he rolls up, and like some of these custodies come out, and they literally are like, not yet. Meaning, they don't try to kill him. They don't like tell him he's wrong. They just tell him it's not yet the time, and he just leaves. And it's like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on with that? And then there is this other part in the Lion, Son of the Forest book where the lion is given a vision from the Emperor, and the Emperor is like super frustrated that he's not getting the message. And it has something to do with like maybe a spear, if I remember correctly, a goblet with blood. I forget, maybe a mirror. I forget what's in the vision. I haven't read that book in a long time, but there was some people that interpreted that vision as the Emperor needing to actually die. And here's something that's kind of interesting. So the Emperor is kind of an allegory for this concept known as the Fisher King. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but there's a couple of different versions of the Fisher King myth. Most of them are Arthurian. And it's this idea that there's a king that is wounded. Usually it's in his sexual organs in some way. Sometimes it's in his leg or his gut, but it's usually like the idea is he's wounded in a way that he can no longer be masculine or have sex or pass on his seed or whatever. Okay, so the Fisher King is wounded, and the thing that ends up happening is he lingers on, but because he's wounded and dying, the land starts to become wounded and dying. It's like a as above, so below kind of thing. So the Fisher King can only be healed by the Grail. Okay? But here's the thing. The Grail in Arthurian myth and in other myths too, because the Grail, I think, first pops up in a Sumerian story, actually. The Grail is sometimes known or depicted as a goblet. Sometimes it's a sword. So, in a sense, delivering the Grail to the Fisher King could mean killing him. And in this specific example, because the Emperor is a perpetual, it could mean killing him so that he can shed that skin and actually be reborn. So that's probably way too sweaty for a 101 here, but
back more restored than he ever has been before. That machine that was built to save his life might be the thing that's preventing him from regenerating and coming back. That
True.
could lead
Yeah,
to a
could
whole
be.
host of things if he
That
was
would
to
be
come
so
back.
interesting.
Does he still have his humanity? He's basically been tortured for 10,000 years trying to keep the Imperium alive, and
Yeah.
he shed most of his humanity way back when he pulled a bunch of chaos.
I think Alpha Primaris was created to house the spirit of the Star Child. Yeah, that's really deep cut and sweaty too. So the Star Child is a concept of the Emperor being reborn, or a part of his soul being reborn in another body. And there's like a ton of awesome deep lore about it. And technically the Emperor does remove the compassionate part of his soul before he goes to fight Horus, and he just puts it into the warp. And it's like really weird. Like, what is that? Why he does it so that he says, I think that it's so he doesn't hold back on Horus, but he ends up still like kind of holding back and being sad about Horus anyway. I don't know. But some people think that maybe that portion of the Emperor's soul in the warp could be reborn as the Star Child. So maybe you get like multiple Emperors. That would be fucking wild, right? Drewzilla, welcome to the Nerdvengers. You are a Nerdvenger now. Let's keep going.
Power to try to fight Horus. So what Emperor would we get if he did come back? Which leads us to my third theory, the Star Child. And this one actually came up a whole lot on Reddit forums and on one of my YouTube videos and on some other stuff I saw where folks kept saying that the Star Child is probably going to have some kind of influence on the setting. So the Star Child, before the Emperor fought Horus, he did something completely extraordinary. He cast off his humanity. He stripped the love and hope and the idealism
from himself so that he could do what needed to be
done to kill his own son. That's the only way that he could bring himself to kill his favorite son, basically. He needed to remove what made him human to accomplish the mission. It's really heartbreaking if you think about it. That humanity that he pulled from himself, it didn't disappear. True. Because of his psychic might, since this is basically a part of his soul, and souls are really important in this universe.
Yes.
When he pulled that part of himself and got rid of it, it became the Star Child. It manifested into another apparition of his existence. The Star Child,
aspect,
the Emperor's idealism, his love for humanity, his hope for a better future.
There is also something to this. I don't know if he'll get into this either, but there is this thing within the Emperor of aspects. And in a lot of the last few books of the Horus Heresy series, there's a lot of talk of different aspects of the Emperor. Ones that he will find in battle, ones that he has had in the past, ones that he had to cling to in order for humanity to follow him. So I wonder too if like that humanity part is just an aspect or something.
It ascended into the warp, into this other dimension, as a separate entity. The theory goes that when the Emperor's physical body finally fails completely, the Star Child will be born somehow, some way, as a new warp entity that will influence the universe. Not as a chaos god, it'll be something different, something that humanity has built through 10,000 years of genuine faith and sacrifice.
Yeah,
and
that's another thing.
So
this is another thing. Again, this shit gets so deep and it's so trippy. So I'm sorry if it's a little bit just doesn't make any fucking sense. But there is this other thing going on in the setting where as you worship something, you give it power in the warp, okay? And so it's a little bit like American Gods. If you've ever read Neil Gaiman's American Gods, where like the amount of worship you're given will power the god. So here's something that's weird. The Emperor, when he was doing his thing back in the day and going on the Great Crusade, he actually outlawed religion. And he actually said there are no gods. And he definitely hated when people worshipped him as a god. And yet, 10,000 years later, basically everybody worships him as a god. And not quite for 10,000 years straight. Like, we don't really know when this started. But worship of the Emperor is now mandated on millions of worlds. So billions of people are worshiping the Emperor. And the question is, if that is giving spiritual energy to the warp, is that spiritual energy going into the Star Child? Is it going into whatever aspect of the current Emperor sitting on the throne? Does he still have some aspect in the warp? You'd have to imagine he does. Is it fueling him? Is that what is ipso facto making the Emperor more powerful? Is it fueling both of them? There's like a lot of like, it's like, what is going on?
Immaculate reception. That's a football term. But anyway, the only way that this will happen is that one creature must die for this other one to be born. The Emperor won't come back when he dies. Something better does, which is good, right? Theory 4, and the most fun theory, although the most chaotic and the one that would take up the setting the most, the Dark King. This would be bad. Shall arise. This is the one that should keep you up at night. This is the one that would be... Let's just talk. Before the battle with Horus, the Emperor was absorbing this massive amounts of warp energy. He was empowering himself. He was preparing himself for this cosmic heavyweight battle he was going to have. But in doing so, he risked becoming something else. He risked becoming the Dark King. So I want to hear what he says about it, but dude, I fucking love the Dark King shit, man. It's really interesting. 5th chaos god in this setting, but built from humanity's darkness instead of its virtue. He cast off his humanity specifically to avoid this, to do what needed to be done without becoming a monster in the process. He basically shut that portal off in order to hold the energy that he needed to, again, succeed in his mission. Here's the question a lot of folks are asking, including myself: is the risk gone? Or...
Yeah, okay, so let me just talk about this a little bit because it's so fascinating. To me... okay, how do I explain this? The Emperor, very early on in the Great Crusade, it's actually before the Great Crusade, he travels to a planet called Moloch. And on Moloch is a very special portal. This portal allows you to speak to the Chaos Gods, the great gods of the warp, okay? The Emperor goes there and he has a meeting with the Chaos Gods, and some kind of a deal or an arrangement is struck. We never fully understand what it was, but it's like, what we do know is that the Emperor basically goes back on his word. Like, he becomes a warlock, essentially. He breaks an oath because he makes a deal with them for knowledge and power, and then somehow he breaks the deal, and they're aware of him breaking the deal because then they're justified in like fucking with him and trying to destroy him. And he's aware that they have somewhat of a license to now come after him because he immediately starts his crusade. And one of the things about the Great Crusade is there's a timing element. There's like a ticking clock. After Moloch, the Emperor's like, holy shit, we need to get this fucking crusade going now. And he cuts a lot of corners and he goes really, really fast. And it seems like he's racing to an inevitable conclusion. He's trying to get there maybe before the Chaos Gods. Okay, now, we don't know what the deal is on Moloch. But what I would tell you, and this, other people have theorized this as well, and I think it's really, I think this is what it is. I think the only reason the Chaos Gods meet with the Emperor at all, and the only reason they're willing to strike a deal with him, is because he is potentially the Dark King and their future king. So they see him as the potential high ruler of hell on earth, the warp completely taking over humanity and like a thriving, chaotic dimension. And so you have to ask yourselves, okay, so if that's the deal that was struck, then is the threat of him being the Dark King truly over, or is it rather inevitable? Because in the end of the books, he does avoid, at least when he confronts Horus, becoming the Dark King. Because you can kind of see that the Chaos Gods are kind of fucking with him. Like, they're fueling up Horus, they're giving him all this juice. But really what they're trying to do is get the Emperor to take enough power to, like, fully give into his dark side, become the Dark King. And then they're like, fuck yeah, now we got a real, you know, ruler. Fuck you, Horus. Like, we never cared about you. It's implied that that is really what they're trying to do. And it doesn't work. Or at least it hasn't worked yet.
Or is it still there? Is it still waiting every moment that he exists in this warp saturated throne as he continues to gain more power in the setting? Because the reason why he is God tier, God level, is that faith in Warhammer has power.
Yes.
And pretty much, not everybody, but most of the humans that exist in this setting
There's gonna be two M's?
worship him as a god.
Like this. I like this. Warhammer Heresy, thanks for the 20, brother. Says there's going to be two Emps, one compassionate star child, one harsh Dark King. Valdor left, took on the title of Yellow King, and began raising forces to fight against the Dark King, who is the entity on the Golden Throne. Now, it's very possible that that's happening, and I would fucking love that shit, bro. That would be very intense, though. You know the best part of that is that you'd be giving Chaos the Emperor. So, like, you'd have this duality where, like, because everybody fucks with the Emperor. The Emperor is awesome. But to give the Emperor to Chaos, then you have Chaos being like, I love this Emperor for show. Dark King's the best. And then the other people, no, the Star Child's the way. You know? Be kind of cool. All right, let's keep going.
And warp power and the manifestation of it and these entities that come into existence, they do so by a collective of souls pouring their intentions into something.
True.
So if these many billions of people are worshiping this guy as a god and thinking he has this kind of power, guess what?
True.
He's getting this kind of power. But here's what we actually know, though, for facts. The Golden Throne is failing.
That's true, yeah.
This has been confirmed in the lore. The technology of this thing is 10,000 years old. The Adeptus Mechanicus can maintain it.
Thank you.
But they cannot fix it. So basically, they are Millennium Falcon in this thing and sticking a bunch of Band-Aids and bubble gum and good intentions to keep this thing running. But this machine...
Yeah, there's this whole story in Warhammer of some of the custodians, and I think a Sister of Silence, maybe even an Inquisitor, figuring this out and actually working with the Drukhari, the Dark Elves. And they do this whole elaborate thing, and they're about to, like, fix the throne. And then they realize that the Drukhari are just trying to get the DNA of the Emperor to clone the Emperor to make their own throne. And then they have this fucking wild fight. They literally slaughter each other. Nobody survives. I think one character might have survived. But, dude, and one of my favorite Custodians characters fucking died. It was terrible. And this Inquisitor I like, too. But, yeah, so, like, that's a thing. Like, they're like, yeah, this shit is failing. We're so desperate we're going to work with the Dark Elves. Oh, my God, the Dark Elves are doing Dark Elf shit. Kill them all.
Is slowly dying. And when it fails, everything fails with it. The Astronomicon will go dark. Faster than light travel will become almost impossible, if not
True.
impossible. The Imperium will fracture.
True.
10,000 years of civilization as we know it. It's been rotten, but it will end when this happens.
Could get
And
worse.
this trailer, for the first time in Warhammer's history, showed us the Emperor in official cinematic footage. No art involved. There's no miniatures involved. This is actual footage. They showed us the entire cycle: birth, decay, death, and rebirth.
Tell why
Here's
people
my
are
theory:
excited.
the Emperor is not going to wake up or be resurrected in the way that me and you are probably imagining. He's not going to stand up and grab his flaming sword from Gilliman and he's going to fix everything. That's not how 40K operates. And having a Emperor miniature on the tabletop is going to break everything. Nothing will stand up against it. And we don't have the Chaos Gods, for example, to have that kind of a powerhouse fight. So that's just not going to how. That's just not how things work. It's the Grim Dark we're talking about. What I think is going to happen is something much more interesting and much more terrifying. The Emperor is waking up, not physically, but his influence, his presence, his ability to act in the galaxy is increasing. He's having a more so of a psychic awakening. The Primarchs are coming back. The Great Rift that's torn through the galaxy and split the galaxy in half. These aren't separate events. These are symptoms similar to what we saw during the Age of Strife, when a lot of psychic awakenings was happening because there was these chaos storms and all this stuff going on with Eldar, and this same kind of history repeats itself. This same kind of psychic awakening is happening, and something is building towards a culmination that has been in motion for these last 10,000 years. And the question isn't whether the Emperor is going to come back. The question, I think, is going to be what comes back with him when his psychicness takes over. Because a being that has spent 10,000 years in agony, fighting chaos on a level no human can comprehend, slowly being consumed by the warp, worshipped as a god by trillions of people, that's the same man who sat down in that chair. Whatever gets up, we've never met it before. I honest to God think that we don't want the Emperor to come back because the Emperor is not who he used to be. I also have this same theory about Vulcan. I think that when Vulcan comes back,
but Vulcan's already changed. You can see it in the Siege books. Look, okay, so let me tell you my theory here, because I get what he's saying here, but I actually think they can bring the Emperor back. They'd have to do it in a limited capacity. I don't see it happening in 11th, but what could happen in 11th, maybe towards the end of it, is this official quest to bring him back becomes kind of consolidated in the lore. And then maybe like we sort of spend the next edition or the next couple editions with Primarchs returning, people attempting to fulfill a prophecy or do something. I think it will connect to the Lion and that vision he had, because like, dude, the Lion has warp shenanigan powers. The Lion was in the warp for a long time. The Lion is like a mini version of what's happened to the Emperor. Not close, because the Emperor was just like way more shit was going on. But like the Lion can literally walk into the fucking warp and like teleport onto a different planet. Like he goes and speaks to the Emperor in a mirage of a castle that's completely inside of another dimension. So there's definitely weird magical shit going on with him. And that vision he has, I do think will matter. And maybe you sort of see that built, and then maybe you see Chaos trying to stop it and this big conflict about that. And then the other thing that's sort of waiting in the wings is the King in Yellow. And we won't go like way down that rabbit hole right now, because that's like a lot. And I bet even this video was a lot, because Warhammer is a fucking lot. But there's this character called the King in Yellow, and he's incredibly powerful right now. So he is learning a magical language known as Annuncia, and it is giving him power over physical reality. So he's like potentially powerful enough to stand up to a Dark King or something like that, especially if the Star Child is on his side or something. So I don't know. We'll see if they're going to cook that way or not. But the one thing you can't deny is that this trailer, the one that Warhammer put out, is popping. This guy, Scotty Blades, his channel has 11,000 subscribers. This video he made a day ago has 168,000 views. It's on its way to 200K. So like, dude, good for him. But also, the attention, the focus, the interest is there. People are excited about whatever the fuck is going on with Warhammer via this trailer. So I thought it's a really good video, and just wanted to share it with you guys. I thought it's a good way to start the Warhammer Wednesday stream. My God, that's a 30-minute thing? Okay. Yeah, any thoughts, guys? The Emperor hitting some DMT? Maybe. I mean, definitely something going on with him. He's hitting something. He's hitting something. All right, let me get a different one pulled up here. Adam put this video in the Warhammer Discord. It's about picking the right army for 11th edition, so I think we'll watch this one. But let's chill for a second. Nice Warhammer shirt. Thanks, bud. Shorts? No shorts yet on the Warhammer John. No shorts yet, man. Maybe we'll get there. Forget the Emperor. When's Corvus Corax returning? I'd love for Corax to return. I think he's cool, man. I think he's cool. I like Corax. But I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with that. Sorry, I'm so sweaty too. I was at the gym longer than I expected. Vulcan lives. I think so. I think Vulcan would be awesome to bring back into the setting. And look, he's already changed, man. The opening scene with him in the Siege of Terra books, or sorry, no, it's the what the fuck are those books called, man? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? The newest Johns that exist in the right after the Horse Heresy. I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. I fucking loved that book. But the opening scene with Vulcan is like, oh, this motherfucker has changed, dude. The Scouring, right? That's the book, yeah. Dude, that book is awesome. So yeah, I think Vulcan would be changed when he came back for sure. I mean, he died hundreds of times. He was like tortured and shit. He was in the warp getting torn apart a lot. You need that Rogel Dawn. I like Rogel, man. Rogel's cool. I see no reason as to why he can't come back. It'd be great. Valrak would like that for show. I think they should bring a lot of them back. I think you can even bring Sanguinius back, actually. And I know that seems crazy, but I think you can. Some people think Sanguinius has something to do with what's going on with the Emperor because of the blood and the chalice in the vision that the lion has, which would be cool. Ooh. That would be cool. All right, let's watch this video here, and then we'll probably call it a stream. We'll kind of ease into the Warhammer stuff with you guys. Yeah, I agree, Adam. Bring them all back. But let me just talk briefly about kind of what I'm thinking with 11th edition. So the biggest change with 11th edition is that you can make, I think you have a little bit more customization in your army, and you also select what kind of an army you want to build, and that will determine the game, the type of game you're going to play. So they have what's known as like a matrix system, where there's 3 different types, I think, of armies. Let's call them attack, hold and defend, and then do shenanigans. Okay. Basically, right now, if I show up to a table and I have a shenanigans army, and you have a shenanigans army, those things will link in together and open up a certain matrix of different kinds of games that we could play against each other. This is to make it a little bit more customizable, but also to play to the strengths of the armies. So in a game like that, we'd probably both be doing a bunch of different shenanigans, okay? And then there's probably like, oh, I'm a defender and I'm an attacker. Oh, that's going to lock in and open up a certain matrix of types of games we could play. Where I play to my strengths, you play to yours, and they seem pretty well balanced, but it's way too early to know for sure. But what that means is it kind of opens up a new meta to the game, in my opinion, which is to say you want to think about these matchups, and you also want to think about what kind of style you're best at with Warhammer. Like, what do you like to do the most? Because, like, so for instance, I run Dark Angels, but I also run a lot of like Phobos and Stealthy and Snipers. I just like that shit. I like the infiltrate keyword. I like the scout keyword. I like being able to have a lot of board presence. I like, you know, sneaky little dudes that don't cost as much that I can sacrifice maybe if I need to, right? And so, like, there's a part of me that's thinking, oh, man, maybe I lean into that a little bit. I maybe use Dark Angels, and I have maybe part of my army amped up for defense, which is a Dark Angels thing. And then maybe I do some stealth shenanigans with the rest of my army. And really what I'm trying to do is, like, hold a certain baseline just so I'm not getting crushed on primary, and then doing a lot of fucking shenanigans with the stealthy dudes. So yeah, just like And I also just think I do not have enough information to make that call, but I'm kind of easing into like how I'm approaching the edition and what I'm thinking about. And it's really going to be focused on that matrix, those matchups, and what you want to do with your army. That is going to be the most important part of the game in a way that it hasn't been in the past. Because in the past, a lot of the game was meta or net decking, where there would be one particular build with each army that was viable, maybe a couple. But really, when you got to the upper levels of competition, it was a really restricted pile of lists. If you wanted to be competitive, there were only certain things you could do because they were the only things that can compete with the armies and the things that were happening at the upper level of the game. And I strongly feel like the 11th edition designers were basically solely focused on disrupting that. You can't not have a meta. Like, you still will have a meta, of course. But I think they wanted to put enough flexibility in there to create almost like a rock, paper, scissors thing, where any particular meta build that would lean into any one of these would face one of two or one of three, I guess, matchups that would be difficult. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe there's like not enough knowledge of the game to understand what I'm saying there. But I guess TLDR is that I don't think you need to rush out and buy anything or build anything. You know, I don't think you need to like focus on that as much to be competitive in 11th. I think it's just now time to lean on the strengths of what you like, rule of cool this shit a little bit more, and then we'll figure it out from there. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but CO says, with a 10 spot, appreciate you, says, I don't want to change gears too much. I love 40K. I've watched tons of videos and read a few books. I'm having a hard time understanding the lore linearly from beginning to now. Help a noob out. You know what? Maybe what we can do is either on one of the streams or in a full video for the Warhammer Explained channel, I can attempt to explain the entire lore from the War in Heaven to where we're at, you know? And that's a lot. Like, dude, it's a lot. But I could probably do, I could give it the old college try. I could definitely write it out if I did a Warhammer Explained video and scripted it. But I'll give you the real quick and dirty version. Real quick and dirty version. Millions of years ago, potentially billions of years ago, there were really advanced races that were going around creating life. I think they're called the Old Ones. And basically, they have an interaction with the Necron tier. The Necrons, the skull-looking robot metal skin homies. And basically, the Necrons have a really shitty lot in life. They exist next to this really crazy sun, and they all got super cancer. Like, not just cancer, super cancer. Like, the craziest fucking cancer ever. To the point that, like, even though they got away from that sun, they all had super cancer wherever they went. Anyway, so they meet these frog gods called the Old Ones that are super chill and very powerful. And they're like, yo, you guys are super chill and awesome. Would you mind helping us out with our super cancer problem? And they were like, nah, fuck off, guys. And then, like, left. And basically, that destroyed the galaxy. These Necron motherfuckers got real fucking mad, advanced their civilization to the point where they could fight against these gods. They kind of get shellacked at first. They make a deal with these other space gods for their souls, which is how they get their immortality, but most of them are mindless, soulless husks. They end up fucking up the Old Ones. The Old Ones then create a bunch of races to try to fight them. The progenitors of the Orcs are one of them. The Eldar are one of them. The Eldar end up really fucking shit up. They're very powerful. They're crazy, chaotic, and they then become total gooners and create a chaos god known as Slaanesh. It breaks reality. The Necrons are like, fuck this. We're taking a nap. They go to sleep for 60 million years. The Eldar, most of their souls get consumed by Slaanesh after becoming total gooners. They get totally fucked up. Around this time, humanity's growing and budgeting. The Emperor makes a deal with Chaos Gods, learns crazy shit about the warp, creates the Primarchs, starts to advance the Great Crusade. And humanity gets to a point where they have a golden age. I skipped a part. There's a part where humanity extends without the Emperor, and they have a golden age, and then the AI turns on them and fucks them all up, and then they spend a long time getting fucked up by aliens out in space. The Emperor back on Earth then decides to go get the Force crazy warp power shit, pisses off the Chaos Gods, begins the Great Crusade, bada boom, bada bing, Horus Heresy, 10,000 years of the Emperor on the Golden Throne. That's it. That's all you need to know. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. All right, shall we watch this video here with this gentleman, and then we'll call it a stream here. I'll put the link to his video in the chat. I like to do that. Just basically, guys, if you like the homie's video, go support the channel. You know, give him a subscribe, maybe give him a view on this, or give him a like. All right, so don't waste money. The 4-step framework before buying. That's probably good advice. When I first got into Warhammer, I wasted a bunch of fucking money.
All right, the 11th edition hype for...
Wait, I want to record. I want to do a clip. Sorry. All righty, let's see what this dude has to say about not wasting money and picking your army and finding out what to buy for 11th edition. Here we go.
All right, the 11th edition hype for Warhammer 40K. It's real, and I am talking directly to all my beginner players out there. You're just getting into Warhammer 40K, trying to figure out, how do I pick the right army in this game?
How?
This is a video I've been wanting to make, honestly, for a while, and for you specifically, because it's a video, honestly, I wish I had when I started in 10th edition.
Dude,
so,
for
very
real.
excited.
Dude, that's so true. When I first got into this game, I got in at the end of 9th. There was no good videos like that. Like, nothing. Like, I had to, like, look at... it was bad. It was bad.
Talk about this today. I essentially broke down a 4-step framework for you before you go out and try to, like, you know, go chase the meta, and you're watching all these like tech videos of like, you know, this is going to be crazy.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Honestly, tune it all out. It's all noise, because if you are a veteran in this game, you know that the meta is this constant hamster wheel that we're all on, just like in video games and everything else. And it changes, it evolves, and you as a player will evolve with it. So today I do want to go over the 4 steps that I would personally take when deciding what to play for 11th edition. So if you're somebody that, again, is just getting into the hobby, you're very excited, wanting to learn this game, or you're coming back into the hobby and trying to start up a second army like myself, I'm starting up Tyranids for 11th edition, which I'm really excited about, and building out that collection. And so
I'm like, I don't know. Like, I got a Dark Angels army, a Custodes army, and a Tau army. The Tau army is nowhere near meta fieldable. I don't know if I'd even be able to. I could probably get to 2,000 points, but it's like shabby because I just bought like a used one or whatever. I'll probably fill out the Tau army throughout the course of 11th. I'm also gonna buy some Space Wolves, and I guess I'm fucking building Space Wolves army now too. But that might be it for me in 11th. We'll see. I'm kind of interested in maybe getting a knight, maybe a couple of knights, if you continue to be able to play your knights with the Imperium armies. But yeah, I gotta try to pump the brakes, man.
Oh, I want to go over today, how did I arrive at that decision? So what is the first step in this framework? And honestly, it's a pretty simple one. The rule of cool.
This is the one.
Right?
Yes, this is it.
So it could be overwhelming going into your local game store. There's like 30 different armies to choose from. There's so many new kits out there that look so freaking cool. I mean, look at just the Armageddon box that's coming out. I mean, some of those orcs just look freaking awesome. We are spoiled with some of the new
you goddamn orc players.
Models that are coming out. But first, I would go through and make a list of like, oh man, I really like the orcs. Like, they look pretty cool. You know, the Tau, they also look really cool. I like playing the battle suits, right? I mean, there's literally something
Big
for
robots
everybody
are cool
in the Warhammer universe.
Fuck yeah.
That's the best part.
Yeah, it is the best part.
So I would personally write down like, I don't know, 5, 6 armies that you're like, okay, these are really cool. And I would also have a lot of fun building and painting them, because that's also a big thing as well. Like
That's
a lot of
a
times
huge part of it. Actually,
you chase what you think is good.
Well, okay, so let me just say this. That's actually something you need to think about. And you wouldn't expect to have to think about this, but you do. Think about how difficult this shit is going to be to paint. What's wrong with orc players? You know damn well, Fernie. Good to see you, bro. You got to think about how difficult these things are to paint. And also you got to think about, like, do I even want to paint? Some people don't want to paint, and there's nothing wrong with that. I actually hope they do create models that are pre-painted someday. I know, like, a lot of Warhammer fans sort of turn their nose up to that, but I actually think that's the biggest barrier for people to get into the hobby. Actually, it's fucking intimidating as fuck when you open up a box of Warhammer shit and you see these like gray lines of plastic and you're like, I have to cut this shit out and glue it together and then I gotta paint it. It's crazy. Now it ends up being a super awesome part of the hobby where you get to really put your own style and a lot of work and kit bashing and fun customization onto your models. It ends up being a thing that most people fall in love with within the hobby, but it is still a massive barrier for a lot of people to get into it. They said don't expect it anytime soon, motherfuckers. I have a friend that doesn't paint at all. He does all, purchases, eBay or Facebook Marketplace or whatever, and he looks for deals and he finds the pieces he wants, and he's assembled 2 whole armies. Now, I think he's spending a lot of dough on that, but at the same time, fuck it. If he doesn't want to paint, he just wants to have the model. And I've purchased painted models. I mean, my Lion L. Johnson is a custom piece that I got pro-painted. So I understand, having maybe some spotlight models or some big showcase models that you want to have custom done or whatever, but there's just different ways to do it. If you are going to paint, you got to think about like how difficult some of these things are to paint, and what kind of stuff would you maybe be into painting. So it's worth it maybe to watch some videos on that shit too.
Good. And then 2 months down the road, it's like, oh man, this sucks now. And then you're looking at your models and you're like, these like, I wish I wouldn't have done this. I wish I just would have played something. Because, when you're sitting at home during the winter time, it's raining, and you're painting your models, like, you want to be painting the stuff that you're hyped about, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Rule of cool. I can't stress it enough. And also the lore, too. Like, if you guys are, avid readers, that sort of thing, if you like the lore, that is...
And the way it's cool to you, like if it's really cool, that'll carry you through. It'll carry you through being bad at painting. It'll carry you through having to buy another painted model or whatever. If you fucks with it heavy, that's going to carry you through. And I think that's one of the best parts of Warhammer is like, it's vast, it's deep. There's a lot of options. Find the shit that resonates and go all in on that.
As well, okay? So first step, it's got to be cool.
It's got to be cool.
Now, the next step
this is fair.
The number of data sheets. Okay, now what do you mean by data sheets, sir? Okay, so what I mean by data sheets is essentially the number of unique units that the army has access to.
Fair.
So I put together this very simple just pie graph so you could visually see that there are certain armies that don't have as many models or different models as other armies.
Yeah.
So it's not a coincidence that Games Workshop in usually their starter boxes, they usually have armies that have a lot of data sheets to collect because it gives you more options down the road rather having like a limited number. So orcs, for example, have 50 or 60 different units that you can use in the actual game, which is really cool. It offers a lot of different playability. So as the meta changes, you can evolve.
So as an example too, I run Custodes, but Custodes has a super limited range, like very fucking limited. I think they have 10 different kinds of models, literally. They might have 20, but it's not a lot at all. And then certain other ranges just have so many different kinds of models. Space Marines usually have a lot of different models because there's a core Space Marine, pile that you can sort of pick from, and then each chapter has their individual Space Marine characters and shit like that. So yeah, definitely something to keep in mind.
with the meta. Another good example is Necrons. Like, I feel like I lucked out in a lot of ways, picking them as my first army, because I was like, hey, they look cool.
Yeah, they're super cool.
This sort of rule or this framework wasn't even on my radar. I was literally just like, hey, I played them in 3rd edition. I thought they were cool. And I was like, all right, we're going to roll with them again, bring it back. Okay. So the reason I'm bringing this up is important is if you're thinking of you want to get into this competitively, and this is what this channel primarily revolves around, is, you know, beginner players getting into the game and trying to get better competitively, wanting to go to local tournaments, maybe
you want to get better,
going to those big multi-day tournaments. Usually picking an army that has more data sheets is better if you are a competitive player. I'm not going to say it's like verbatim, but I think a lot of players, like my world leaders out there, you know, Custodes, that sort of thing, where they're armies that have limited data sheets, sometimes during the meta when there are changes,
it's hard to adjust.
Because there's a limited number of data sheets for that army, it's very difficult for them to adapt. Versus if you play orcs, if you play space marines, if you play necrons.
Dude, this is literally why I had to start Dark Angels, because Custodes in 10th started out so strong, and then they shit on them so hard. They were like unfucking playable, and they just didn't have options. So like there were things going on in the meta, and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do about that? So I got into Dark Angels specifically so that I would have options. I would have, you know, infiltrators so I could like stop this AC/DC rush or whatever. Like, and the depth of, like, think of it like your roster or whatever, the ability to pull these different kinds of units into whatever particular army you want to field is advantageous. It comes at a literal cost though. Like it's going to cost you more. You know, to field an army will cost more. So it's a flip side, because the thing that's kind of nice about Custodes is, although they're limited, like literally 7 different units of 20 all-day characters can be a 2,000 point army. You know what I mean? So like there's a flip side to it too.
Have so many units available, because you have so many different abilities available, you can fine tune your list and adapt to the meta. So I would say if you are just getting into the game and you're thinking about playing this competitively, I would side on trying to pick an army that has a higher number of data sheets rather than a lower number of data sheets.
Yeah, but it will cost you.
So that's the second thing. So the first step, rule of cool. Second step, picking an army that has a more fleshed out unit count, essentially. Okay. The third step. All right, is the style of play.
Yeah.
Now, I believe that Warhammer can be broken up roughly into 4 styles. And this is very similar to a lot of different games you might play if you're coming from like Magic the Gathering.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with this.
You know, just a lot of other games revolve around these types of play style
and it's interesting because this actually speaks to the matrix system that I was talking about earlier, where like you plug in now, because really all armies are going to have to identify as one of these 3. But they're all probably actually combined a little bit, but they'll have to have an identity of these 3. And then those are what plugs into the matrix to decide the types of games.
You have, you know, durability, you have aggro, so things that are very fast, they apply a lot of pressure. You know, it's like your red fire decks in Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
You have your control type builds, which are like, you know, in Magic, it's like your blue, your white, and then you have your essentially combined arms. So it's a tricks of the trade with everything. Okay.
Real shenanigan.
So the reason I bring this up, and this is also very important, is if you are a relatively newer player, you're thinking about getting into the game, one thing I would highly recommend doing is trying to find, you know, going on maybe Facebook, typing in maybe on Google Maps, like a local game store if you're thinking about getting into it. I'm sure there is a nearby, you know, gaming store you can go into and try to connect with the store owner or somebody in there as far as, you know, getting more insight as far as, you know, these type of armies and how they play. And maybe, who knows, you might meet somebody there that is willing to show you how to play.
Yeah, I kind of lucked out where my local game store, the guy, one of the first people I sort of talked to about it was a Custodes player. and we literally ran Custodes on Custodes, which is actually thematic too, because they do like the blood games and shit. But it was helpful because he was really able to like show me how to play Custodes, which was really cool.
Maybe use like an extra army that they have. I mean, I know me personally, like if I ran into somebody that, you know, was trying to get into the game, like I would lend them my, you know, Tyranids or my Necrons in a heartbeat to like show them how to play and show them the ropes and see if it's something that they want to get into or they like this style of play. Because that is the one thing that is hard to figure out before obviously purchasing the models is how does this exactly play on the tabletop. So going into your local game store, asking somebody, they probably can give you some clarification of like what kind of category they fall into. And then you can decide from there. But this one is a little bit harder to figure out until you actually start playing the game. So, you know, maybe starting small, buying like a little, you know, a combat patrol.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that's a good idea.
And playing with those units for a little bit,
500
and then figuring out
game.
what you really enjoy as far as style of play. And
or just watch some
I
battle
put up
reports.
units up here to kind of reference this. So Necrons, just in general, I mean, they can really fit honestly into a lot of different categories, but they're really known for their durability, or what we call
play
like
on
a
TTS
stat
is really
check style
fun,
of
for
play.
sure.
Where they're very durable. Generally, these armies are a lot easier to play. They're a lot more forgiving for beginner players or somebody coming into the game. So that's like, you know, armies like Necrons, armies like Custodes, Imperial Knights.
Dark Angels.
These armies, they usually don't have as many models on the table. So it's a little bit easier if you're a beginner player to get into the game because there's not as much to worry about. Yeah. And it's a little bit more forgiving because the units are durable. So if you do make mistakes, you're not as punished for it. Versus if you play an army that's more control, like your Thousand Sons, your Eldari, your Eldar, your Drukhari, Gene Stealer cults, you know, the list goes on and on. These are generally Tyranids armies that have a lot more models.
Yeah,
they control the board. Generally, they're more fragile in terms of durability, and generally they're a little bit harder to play. They're not as.
I love playing against Tyranids. To me, it's the most fun army to play against. Although there are armies that I still have not played against. But like it's a swarm army, and I usually run heavy melee armies, and just those big clashes and like throwing off like 10 models at a time, and then like getting swarmed and stuff. It's super fun.
Forgiving for newer players. Not to say that if you're just getting into the hobby, you shouldn't play them. It's just me being, you know, as transparent as possible. As you know, if your buddy starts a Necron army and you're playing Eldari, you know, your Necron buddy might be winning a few more games early on than you, just because they are an easier army to play and get into. Okay, and then your aggro armies are like your orcs that come in the Armageddon box set. So they're very fast melee. Generally speaking, their shooting isn't as good. These are also armies, so like World Eaters. Tyranids could potentially fit into like that aggro space.
You can do an aggro build,
orcs, all of those type of armies are going to be aggro. And then combined is like your Marines. Okay, so combined arms. So you have like a good mix of melee units, you have a good mix of shooting units, and you enjoy just a very balanced style of play that can really adapt to any situation. Guard could even be in this category, right? So this is really important. This is a little bit of a tougher one to figure out. But go to your local game store, and they should be more than willing to help you out, okay? And last but not least, and maybe the most important, because gas is just so damn high. It's just so damn high right now, is the money investment.
Yeah, this is a good question. Yeah.
So, look, Warhammer's expensive, okay? It is not the cheapest hobby in the world, and I will say, there are definitely armies that are cheaper to collect, and there are armies that are not so much. So I put up this little kind of reference sheet just for a couple of armies, but in general, usually the armies that have more data sheets are going to be a little bit more expensive to collect.
Yes.
Just because you need more models, right? You know, somebody that's playing Imperial Knights, they could run 5 or...
Now, one caveat to this is we don't know what the points values are for 11th, and there was a lot of speculation that they're trying to bring this entry cost down. So you might actually see all armies field fewer models on the table to get to 2,000 points. That's not confirmed, but it seems like that's going to happen.
For 6 big nights, a lot of times you can find deals online, people, selling them, etc. It's just a lot easier to collect these armies that don't have as many data sheets.
True.
So it's not as much of an investment because a lot of times they're not using as many models. Custodes is another good example.
Yeah,
right?
I think I got
you don't have as
for
many data sheets.
$400, maybe 500. I had a total 2,000 point Custodes army.
Therefore, it's not going to be as much of an investment. So to conclude, the 4 steps, the first thing we need you to do is you need to
rule of cool. What's cool?
Rule of cool.
Yeah.
Figure out what looks cool. All right. And the second thing is figuring out what has the most number of data sheets.
Data sheets, right.
So you can see Games Workshop, they're kind of helping you out because, both armies look cool and they both have a lot of data sheets, and that's what's in the starter box, right? So it's not exactly a coincidence. All right. So those are the first 2 things. The third thing is figuring out your style of play, what you enjoy.
Yes.
The nice thing is that usually the armies that have a lot of data sheets also can vary up their play depending on the meta or how the game shifts as far as what's good and what's not.
Yes, true, fair.
So you don't necessarily have to stress about that third rule as much. But as you get going and you do pick an army that has a lot of data sheets, it's going to be in your favor. The only thing that's maybe not in your favor is obviously the money investment, is those armies generally are more expensive to collect because you do have more options, so you're going to need to buy more models.
True.
But with that said, drop a comment below.
Cool. Good video. Like I said, I put the link in the chat. Go support the homie if you wants to. What do you guys think? Was that helpful at all? Do you have any other questions? Because we'll probably just chill for a little bit here. And then I'm going to get off stream. I'm actually starving. I didn't eat after the gym. So I got to go get some late night food. Probably not the best, but I got to do what I got to do. Any questions, Chad? Any thoughts? Low key, big yawn. What? You weren't sold? You're not getting into it immediately and getting all 5 different armies? I gotta have some electrolytes too. When he works out hard, you gotta have those electrolytes. Oh, dude, no. Much love too, Prez. Somebody ban fucking Prez. Get him out of here, please. Thank you. He was a little boring. The last guy had my interest. Yeah, it was a little dry. Look, I would say this. The thing is, especially without the context of like actually playing, it's hard to listen to that maybe and get a lot out of it, right? If you're at the place where you are already a little bit more aware of what the game is and you're actually looking at what army to get, I think it's a useful video. But maybe some of you just are not interested in that aspect of the hobby, or you're not even close to being ready for that. So it could be a little bit early in that sense. Yeah. I mean, I almost picked Necrons as my first army because I think they're so fucking cool, dude. And the Silent King specifically. Hey, look, I was kidding. Don't actually ban him. Oh my god, don't ban Prez. I was just kidding. Yeah, that first video was cool, huh? Well, like I said, there's a reason that's hype. People are hyped about it. You know, the Emperor coming back's crazy. But for me, you know, it was almost Necrons. The Silent King is so cool, and I was like, dude, this is awesome. And I also got the Necron Magic the Gathering deck when they did that collaboration. I didn't. It was a 10-second timeout. Oh, okay, all right. Oh, jeez. Yeah, you meanies. You guys are so mean to Prez. I was just kidding around. So I really liked the Necrons, but then when I got into the lore a little bit, I was like, well, a lot of them are just mindless, and then there's like, you know, some of the higher ups are cool, but I don't know, I wasn't really fucking with it. And then I found out about the Custodes, and I was like, oh, so dude, they're like all super soldier, godlike, like demigod beings. It's a whole army of the Emperor's best creations. And there's personal bodyguard. They fight in hell. Like, I was like, dude, the Custodes are fucking lit. And the more I just got into the lore and shit, I was like, they're so cool. So I decided to go with Custodes. And then when I got into, because like I don't know, I was always like drawn to the Dark Angels, especially when the Lion came back. So the Primarch of the Dark Angels came back. I read that book and I was like, this dude is fucking awesome. So I basically like got into Dark Angels probably way too early, before I knew a lot about them at all, just because the Lion came back. But I've gotten even more into their lore, and I love the Dark Angels, dude. They are so fun. So yeah, I was sort of guided by the rule of cool as well, and the lore really played into that. And then I guess got lucky in the sense that Custodes were a relatively cheap army to go with. I had to go with Space Marines, Ultramarines, and Death Watch. Just wish Ultramarines didn't have such a puss Primarch. Yeah, but you know, Gilliman is... I think Gilliman's a little bit... Like, Gilliman has more depth than people give him credit for. And he does have the Emperor's Sword. And he does go to try to face down Fulgrim. Like, I don't know if you've read that book where he, like, fights Fulgrim and shit. Like, Rabute's cool. There's, like, some spookiness to Rabute. In the Scourge, or the Scouring book, there's, like, this weird kind of undercurrent where even some of his Primarch brothers kind of gather around and they're like, yeah, we were all given an aspect of our father, and Rabute was given the calculations, and that might make him the most like father out of all of us. And they all kind of like, they're a little like spooked by some of the shit he's doing, where they're like, man, did he plan this? Like, what's going on? So I like Rabute. I think he's got a little more depth than people give him credit for, but he's easy to make fun of because he's kind of like presented as the Boy Scout, and he's like good at Excel spreadsheets and shit. So I get it. But Duncan says, Josh, remember last week when I said Warhammer Wednesdays on Discord and you agreed, and now we're here? I think that means you owe me an army. Am I right? What army are you interested in? I'm not saying I'm buying you shit, but I would like to know what army you're interested in. Maybe I'll paint you up a model. How about that? Sorry I'm late. You can go ahead and start now. What? I like that. I like your profile picture. Did you change that? That's cool. That's cool now. Are the Primarchs warp entities? That's a good question. So this is a cool part of the lore where there's definitely some part of the Primarchs that is from the warp. And one of the ways we know this is actually through Gilliman. In that book where he goes to fight Fulgrim, he describes teleporting through the warp, and as he's in the warp, basically everybody else is completely unsettled, and like humans don't like it very much, and yet this like calm comes under him, and like he can recognize that a part of him is like from the warp. There's other things too that explain this. What I think they are is essentially, I think the Emperor kind of grabbed up these aspects of himself that were developing in the warp as maybe separate entities, and he grabs them up and places them within the Primarchs. But yeah, maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's the same thing. I added the Targaryen seal with the heads of my favorite Poke. Oh, okay, yeah, that's cool, man. It looks cool. Pokemon, right on. The Crimson Fists are dope, dude. The Crimson Fists are really cool. They're a really cool chapter of the Ultramarines. I think aren't the Celestial Lions an Ultramarine chapter too? They're really cool too, dude. Celestial Lions, really cool. Yeah, there's a ton of fun chapters, man. I like the Sons of Medusa a lot. Yeah. I'm thinking Salamanders or Grey Knights for my first army. Those are both really cool. Salamanders, of course, have like that kind of dragon thing going on. They also have those pitch red eyes and that charcoal black skin. They're really cool, really intimidating looking. And yet, the irony is they're kind of kind. They're one of the most kind chapters of Space Marines. They actually care about the regular humans. So it's crazy because they're like some of the most scary looking Space Marines, but they actually care. So it's kind of fun. And then the Grey Knights are the Demon Hunters. So they were kind of created by not exactly created by Malkador the Sigillite, but by his people. His people end up creating the Grey Knight Space Marines, and they're a whole army of wizard Space Marines that get recruited for their psychic abilities, and they just kind of secretly fight demons for the Empire. And they are cool as shit, dude. They're all psychics. which is not usual for Space Marines. One of their powerful members has a demon-possessed sword that constantly tries to corrupt him, but he uses it, but he doesn't use any of the demonic power. He just holds it because it's the most safe with him, because he knows he won't be corrupted by it. So he just has this fucking demon sword that's constantly taunting him to use its power, and he just doesn't. It's like super badass. So the Grey Knights are cool, man. Yeah, dude. Drew, me too. Me too. They also don't exist, so if you see them, you have to die. Yeah, they're super secretive. They're like a special ops, like, you know, they could get burnt in the same way that, like, in the Ethan Hunt movies, they disavow. But the Inquisition knows about them and all that kind of stuff. Josh, in the Instagram comments for that new video, people kept using the term tourist. Is that a term for new players? Yeah, so Warhammer, they gatekeep the shit out of the hobby, and I think that's actually good, but a lot of them go way too far, and they want to gatekeep even like people like me that didn't come to Warhammer first in my love of nerdy things. I haven't been in it for like decades. I've only been in it for like 5 years. And they would even potentially see me as a tourist because like I make Marvel content and Star Wars content, and they're like, Disney sucks, you fucking tourist. Ah, you know what I mean? So, but to be honest with you, it is a small portion, but honestly, I like it. I like that Warhammer and its fandom has an edge. I like that they're protective of it, and I like that they understand that a lot of like modern sensibilities are like antithetical to this franchise thriving. You know what I mean? But yeah, I guess it just, you know, your mileage may vary on how serious you take that or what you think of it. But yeah, it's a thing. Dov Saba says with a 10 spot, brother, your Warhammer streams are my favorite content of yours now. What? Warhammer Wednesdays. Let's fucking go. What's your favorite model in your entire collection? Also, I dig the Warhammer shirt. What? You dig the Warhammer shirt? Freaking butthole. So my favorite model is right back here. Hang on. Now, I didn't paint that one. That is a version of Lionel Johnson, the Primarch that returned. Yeah, it is a little Dr. Doomish. And it's done in the Deathwing style. So he's got all the white armor with the green capes, the red undertone. But yeah, it's a really, really nice piece. It probably doesn't even do it justice holding it up to the camera like that. But yeah, there you go. There you go. There he is. But I have like some that I'm really proud of that I painted, and I have been getting a lot better at painting. It's hard to find the time. I've been very busy, but I'm hoping to get a little bit of hobbying done in the next couple of weeks so that I can be ready for 11th edition. And by the way, you know, once 11th edition comes out, I think Adam and I will play a little on TTS at first, and then I am going to go out to Philly, Jersey area, and Adam and I are going to play a game and try to record it. So we'll try to record and do like a little battle report for you guys. But yeah, we probably both, it's a new edition. We're both not going to know what the fuck is going on. So we're going to need to practice a little bit, and then we'll get it done. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be cool. I don't know if we'll be able to stream it. We might have to like record it and then edit it, but it should be cool. Yeah, points and also abilities, because I need to see the changes, right? Because like fights first is obviously not as valuable, so it's like, how did they buff the lion? Like, what's that going to look like? Maybe they'll give him like the old fights first. I would be so happy. My friends would be so pissed. So yeah, we'll see. All right, everybody, but much love, man. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. Oh, I play Tabletop Simulator all the time, Mega Migs. Adam and I play on Tabletop Simulator. I play with my friends. So yeah, TTS is great. It's a great option because you don't need to buy the figures. I do know Siege Studios. I have never gotten a piece from Siege, but dude, I might. I mean, some of their newer stuff especially was great. They did this one Custodes piece recently, Shadow Keepers, maybe even a Blade Champion. I don't remember exactly, but it was fucking beautiful, dude. So yeah, they do great work. All right, everybody, much love. I'm gonna get on out here. Thanks for being here. We'll do another Warhammer Wednesday stream next Wednesday. We should be able to do them every Wednesday, maybe not every single Wednesday if something comes up, but yeah, this will just be a new little journey for those of you that want to get into it or that want to at least hang on a Wednesday night, because I like Warhammer quite a bit, if you hadn't noticed, you know. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Much love. Have a good night. I'll see you later.
Embrace my